Hello, my name is Daniel Horsington and I'm the Head of History at Preston School. Through this PowerPoint, I'm going to run through with you an overview of the GCSE course that we teach here at Preston, as well as ways in which the History Department helps to make sure that your child does as well as they possibly can. At Preston School, we teach the AQA GCSE History course. Within this, there are two exam papers at the end of Year 11. Each paper lasts 2 hours and contains two topics. That means there is 1 hour per topic. The paper 1 topics consist of America 1920 to 1973 and is titled Opportunity and Inequality, and it also includes the wider world depth study, which in our case looks at conflict and tension 1894 to 1918, which is the causes of World War I as well as the war itself. Within paper 2, we look at the thematic study. This is Britain, Health and the People, which covers the years 1000 AD to the present day, and we also do the British depth study. In this case, it is looking at Elizabethan England and what it was like to live during Elizabeth's rule between 1568 and 1603. The period study, which focuses on America 1920 to 1973, is broken down into three subsections. The first section looks at the boom of the 1920s and its impact. So this is looking at the rise of the American economy and why it became such a wealthy country in the 1920s, as well as the positive and negative impacts this had on society. The second section focuses on the bust of the 1930s and how America then tried to recover after the Wall Street crash in 1929. This also includes World War II and the role that played in the economic recovery in America. The third section is looking at post-war America, so it's looking at America after 1945, focusing heavily on the social changes that happened in America, particularly around the rise of feminism as well as the civil rights movement. The American topic is examined in paper 1 along with World War I. The American section of that exam consists of 6 questions worth 4 marks for question 1, 4 marks for question 2, 8 for question 3, 4 for question 4, 8 for question 5, and 12 for question 6. Through the teaching of the entire course, we look at numerous exam questions and how to structure these answers to ensure that the students are very well prepared for the exams at the end of the GCSE. The second part of paper 1 is looking at conflict and tension 1894 to 1918. Within this, it is again broken into 3 different sections. There are the causes of World War I, so looking at the various reasons why World War I started. There is the war itself, so looking at the various battles during the war, focusing heavily on trench warfare and some of the key battles linked to this, as well as key developments such as the weapons. We also then focus on the third section, which is why the war ended in 1918, looking at the reasons Germany ultimately lost by looking at a variety of different factors that led to this outcome. The World War I section also is examined in paper 1, as I've said, and within this there are 4 different questions. Question 1 is worth 4 marks, question 2 is worth 12 marks, question 3 is worth 8 marks, and question 4 is worth 16 marks. Question 4 also comes with 4 spelling, punctuation, and grammar marks as well. The first of the paper 2 topics that we study is the thematic study, looking at Britain, health and the people, circa 1000 AD to the present day. This covers medical development as well as public health development over 1000 years of history. This course is broken into 4 sections, which are focused on the different periods of time. The first section looks at medieval medicine and why very little changed over a very long 400 years of history. We focus on then the Renaissance, looking at the social changes that led to changes in medical approaches, particularly around the weakening of the church and how that actually led to more development for medicine. We then move on to the third period, which is industrial Britain, so looking at about 100 years of history between 1800 and 1900 and why so much change happened in this period of time, looking at the work of several key individuals around this, before moving on to the fourth period of time, which looks at 20th century medicine and how so much change happened in this very short period of time, particularly focusing on the key changes around medicine, such as the creation of the NHS. Within medicine, there is again 4 different questions in the exam. In this case, questions 1, 2, and 3 are each worth 8 marks, and question 4 is worth 16 marks. As with World War I, question 4 in this instance also comes with 4 spelling, punctuation, and grammar marks as well. The second paper 2 topic we study is the British depth study. In this case, we focus on Elizabethan England circa 1568 to 1603. This study starts 10 years into Elizabeth's rule, as 1568 is a year that a woman called Mary Queen of Scots arrived in England, and this led to a lot of change within how Elizabethan England was ruled. The first section with this topic is Elizabeth's court and parliament. Within this, we look at the different aspects of how Elizabeth ruled the country and how she battled against what was a very much a man's world. The second part is life in Elizabethan times, focusing on why this is called the Golden Age. The third section is then looking at troubles of home and abroad. So this is focusing on the religious problems that Elizabeth faced, as well as problems from foreign countries such as Spain with the Spanish Armada. The fourth topic is the historic environment. The historic environment changes every year, so it's impossible to say what it's going to be at the moment. However, there's always information packs provided by AQA themselves in order to help us teach this really effectively. This part of the paper is broken into 4 different exam questions. Again, like the medicine one, questions 1, 2, and 3 are worth 8 marks, and question 4 is worth 16 marks. In this paper, there are no spelling, punctuation, and grammar marks. Question 4 is also about the historical environment study, which gives us an advantage because we know what this question is therefore going to be about. Through these last 4 slides, I'm hoping you notice that the images coming off are images which have the titles of each of the units on there. This is as at GCSE History we do not use exercise books, but instead have produced ourselves booklets which cover all of the topics the students need to study. Within these booklets, we have included all the sources the students need, as well as the information and the tasks the students complete. As such, rather than using exercise books, all the notes that do get completed at GCSE are done so in these booklets. These have proved very popular with the students at GCSE and has helped them gain a much clearer understanding as to the order in which events happen, as well as understanding how to use the historical skills and not just gather the knowledge. One of the key tips for success at the History GCSE is to make sure that as a student you are fully reading the questions being asked. Too often, as the first bullet point says, students will read a question, see one piece of knowledge, and then just rely on writing everything they know about that one single aspect. Without focusing on the skills the question is asking you to complete or fully reading the question, it limits the amount of marks you can get. So making sure the question has been fully read and understood is really important. We do help with this through the GCSE by doing lots of practice past papers as well as practice questions throughout each of the booklets. Another thing the students need to be aware of is making sure that they're not including too many examples. Again, it's very frequent in the exams that students write down every single thing they know about a particular topic rather than just focusing on 1 or 2 key examples. The 1 or 2 key examples is much more important in terms of then getting a more detailed explanation. The History GCSE is very content heavy, and as such it is important that students are revising throughout the entire 2 years of their course and not just relying on doing revision in Year 11. Frequently, having marked lots of the mock past papers, students too often rely on last minute revision, and this means they do not have enough knowledge in order to fully access the questions and therefore access the higher marks. Revision really is key through the GCSE. As we stated, this course is very content heavy. However, we do have revision tools in place in order to help the students do as well as they can. Now, as stated, students should be revising throughout Year 10. However, in Year 11, as well as revising, we do help the students by giving them a revision timetable, which sets out weekly what topics they should be revising in order to cover the whole course through Year 11 to make sure they have a good broad knowledge by the time they get to the GCSE exams. We also, for each of the booklets, have A3 revision sheets. These sheets are always printed in colour in order to help the students, and they cover all the key facts from each of the booklets. Although they don't have all the depth in there, they are a good starting point in order for the students to begin their revision and highlight where they need to improve their knowledge. We also, as a department, have managed to purchase revision guides for each of the 4 topics that are studied. We've managed to get these at a discounted price and can offer those to the students again when they get to the end of Year 10 and the beginning of Year 11. The booklets that have been created for the GCSE history course have proven exceptionally positive for the students. They can see an overview of the entire course because they can look ahead of the booklets, and all the booklets will be available on Google Classroom. It also means that if students are away for a lesson, when they've got their booklets at home, they can easily access the course still. However, if students don't happen to have their booklets with them, then all the booklets are placed on Google Classroom at the start of the course. This means students can work on anything they've missed through illness or other reasons for absence. If you have any questions about the GCSE history, please don't hesitate to contact me. My email address is on the screen. Thank you very much for listening.